Scotland should be denied Westminster funding for a year to see how they would cope if they gained independence, a political expert said. Former Sun political editor George Pascoe Watson discussed the career of Nicola Sturgeon and her endless drive for an independent Scotland. The journalist pondered what an independent Scotland would look like and said that Westminster should cut Scottish funding to test it out. The SNP leader has called for an independence referendum after the Scottish parliamentary election on May 6 and will go ahead with one regardless of Westminster approval. Speaking to Mike Graham on Talk Radio, Mr. Pascoe Watson said, "She, Sturgeon, is very good at evasion, and let's be honest, in politics you can't come out and say what is screamingly obvious to everybody else. There are too many compromises in politics and she's very good at that, there's no question. She will win the next election in Scotland, but the difficulty then is, of course, here in London, in Westminster for Boris Johnson will be how will he behave when she tries to have what is called a wildcat referendum on Scottish independence. And what will be the Westminster government attitude towards that? Boris Johnson has already said he will do nothing to allow that to happen, but in a sense, this will be a big marker in the sand. My personal view is that we should stop sending the Scots the money they get from the Barnett formula for a year to get a feel how it will be outside the UK and see how they like that. The Barnett formula dictates how the Treasury works out funding to devolved governments. It adjusts based on population and what powers the devolved governments have. For example, if their education sector programs are similar to England's, they will receive funding to run those. In 2013, this accounted for 85% of the Scottish government's funding. The SNP have argued they would be able to fund their public services without central government funding by selling North Sea oil. However, it was pointed out to SNP Commons leader Ian Blackford in an interview that oil prices have drastically declined and the world is moving towards a greener future. Nicola Sturgeon also came out several weeks ago pledging she would push ahead with an independence referendum after the Scottish elections.